me like, I just want to go to fucking Germany.
I just want to German.
I just want to walk around the streets and go to some fucking underground beer fest and just get drunk and just fucking party, dude.
Hammerger! Schleimer?
Yeah.
Niemand bringt Amerikaner!
To beer fest.
Okay. Oh, what do we know what we're talking about? No.
Let's just rip it and tear it.
Rip it and tear, like we used to. Let me just look at my list real quick to see if it sparks any ideas.
Maybe we should bring back the poke the pussy.
The beatboxing.
Yeah.
I didn't so much like the beatboxing. I liked the singing though. Do do dum do do squib bam.
Yeah. Hey Phil, perhaps you should.
Perhaps you should grow a beard.
Shut up.
Poke the pussy. Poke the pussy.
Dude, twice das Sonora?
Twice Destanora.
Twice is Sonora.
Dude, I was on my way to work. I was in fucking. I was driving past Garbo, bro, Garden City, and I was just like, it was like fucking probably like 5:20 in the morning. It was like cold winter, and I was like, Sonora. Twice das Sonora.
Twice Destanora. Yeah, sick. You know what I did put on my list? Those building parachutes.
Would they jump out backwards? Yeah, that's nuts. We got to get the specific names and shit so people can Google it. We can't just be like, the things where people jump out of buildings and parachutes?
Yeah, do we have the name? Do we want to bring it up? Because I think it would
I feel like we're going 9/11 straight
Yeah.
up. Yeah, we're going straight down that rabbit hole. It's a 9/11.
Should we not mention it? No, let's not mention Zavor.
All right. You know what? I've got a good opener. Allow
What's
me
the
to
opener?
open.
Or you want to leave it?
Yeah, hold on. Let me just...
Oh, I'm going to tell you that I watched Dune as well on
Yeah.
this podcast because I have a thing that I want to talk about as part of that I've realized. But let's not recite movies. We've already got that down pat now. The last two, we've nailed it.
All right. Let's do it.
Right.
Are they both recording?
Yeah.
So...
I've got a red light. You've got a red flashing light.
yeah, I'll do it.
We've got the light there.
Hi, welcome to the 1 Liter Podcast. You will watch us drinking 1 liters of beer whilst talking about shies. Please like and subscribe. Welcome to the 1 Liter.
Vent a bit overboard, Mr. Fluffy.
You got beer on your crutch. We have got beer on the crutch over here.
Prost.
Oh shit! I basically just drank without posting. That is very much bad luck, but
You know what? Dieses Bier ist... Dieses Bier ist... I forgot the word now.
Unglaublich.
Unglaublich.
Dieses Bier ist unglaublich.
This beer is amazing.
Original Helles. That's what you want. Now, it's very difficult to translate that, because Helles means light, like the opposite of dark, because they do a dark
Dunkel.
version, dunkel. But Helles, if you want to say it in English, I'll have a light beer, that means like low strength beer. So it's very difficult to translate. I'll have a light beer. Well, I don't want it to be light. I want it to be full strength, but I want it to be light in color. Helles.
Look at this. I mean, there's a lot of people out there who probably don't like beer. And if look, at the end of the day, it's rare, but I'm sure there is a lot of blokes out there who just, they'll probably drink it because, oh God, the fellas are going to drink it, but they may not like it or they may be gluten intolerant. But at the end of the day, like, I no beef with you fellas, but just look at that. That's just, you can really see the hops in effect, right?
Can I tell you something though? Even people that don't.
This is a podcast. All we do is tell each other stuff, bro.
Please let me. Even people that are not into beer, like we'll take my girlfriend for instance, Anna. When I took her to Germany, she's not a big beer drinker, but in Germany, I was like, look, you got to try this. And she was downing them. Like, if you're getting proper German beers with the Reinheitsgebot, the purity law. It's not really a law, but you're getting good beer, and it's going to be tasty to most people.
So the Germans have a thing called the Reinheitsgebot, and it's basically like an ancient tradition of developing beer where they have to stick to certain guidelines. You know, healthy materials are going in, not materials,
Ingredients.
That's
It's
the word.
it's the no extra ingredients is the key thing. So
Yeah.
it's
They're not adding
only
shice.
yeah, it's only the 4 main ingredients that you're allowed to use to call yourself. I don't know. I don't actually know what it is, but I know what it's about. Even though I'm a German.
So I'll tell you a funny. Oh man, it gets me every time. So my workmate was telling me about. He was just telling me about a story, and he was just losing it. And do you know what's really fun when you see someone, like you could be with your partner or a family member or someone. You think you've seen every single facial expression, every single noise that's come out of them, and then one day, even a friend or anyone that you've known for a long time, they'll do a noise or something, and you're like, I've never heard you make that noise. I've never seen you laugh that hard.
And
You know-
you feel so successul because you're like, oh my god, I'm in the presence of you making this new laugh.
Yeah. Like, do you know the first time? Like, we all know like a handful of stoic people who rarely laugh, and when you see them like going for it, like really belly laughing, it just enhances your laugh. You're like, But anyways, this dude, I've only been working with him for about a month. He's new to the marketing team, and he was just losing it yesterday. He was just losing it over this story he was telling me. And I was just like, he was like sweating. He was laughing so hard. And I tend to laugh even harder if someone's laughing hard and they have a wheeze. If someone's got if someone has a wheeze, even if I could hate someone, if they had a wheezy laugh and they were like 10 meters away, I'm gone.
I've just got that.
losing it.
I've just got that one wheeze. There's no.
Oh, dude, I love your
Mine's
laugh.
like.
You got the steam pipe, eh? You got
Yeah.
that old like New York radiator fucking the heater's busted.
Yeah,
The
kettle's ready.
the kettle, yeah.
The whistle on the kettle.
And I thought about it and I was like, and he's saying it's his favorite story to tell. And I thought, oh man, I'd love to bring that up on the podcast. And I was like, what's a funny story I can tell? And I couldn't think of a funny story, but I thought I'm going to try to do this. I thought about something that whenever I try to explain it to someone, it always made me laugh. So I'll try to do this now. There's an old show in the 90s. You know Martin Lawrence from Bad Boys? You know Will Smith and the other guy?
He's Martin Lawrence.
the
Yeah, he
shorter
does
guy,
stand up as well. Yeah.
Yeah, Martin Lawrence is a fucking
Yeah.
legend. So Martin Lawrence had a show back in the 90s called Martin. And it was basically a show about he's like a radio TV host, radio personality, sorry, and he's in Detroit. And he's got like a group of mates, and then he's got his partner and his partner's best friend, and then like all these characters, like there's like a local karate, like he plays all these characters like Eddie Murphy does in all these films. So he plays like white people, and he plays this like really shady, like horny fucking like creepy chick, his neighbor across the road, and like the room across from him, and he plays this really funny karate character too. He's like, he's this funny dude. But there's this one character on the show. It isn't played by Martin. His name's Bra Man. Like, bra, what's up, bra man? He's like this 6'5", just massive African American dude. He's just huge. And like, I think the first episode that introduces Bra Man, like Mike Tyson was fighting. So like Martin had all these people over and they're all like in their chairs, and Martin's just like, here's chips and drinks. Don't hit the lamp. Don't move this. He's just like patrolling everyone. And this random dude waltzes in. He's just like, hey man, who are you? And he's just like, oh, hey man, I'm Bra Man. I live down the street. I heard a fight's on. Can I, like, he's like, I live in the building or something like that. Can I watch the fight? And Martin's like, all right, whatever. Just, sit down, relax. And then like the whole episode, all this shit's gone. And then later on, Bra Man, I don't think I'm going to laugh. So this isn't going to be as entertaining. I think I've told this story so many times. I think I've laughed it out.
And you've got the pressure now. You've got the pressure of recording.
Yeah. Bra Man. Martin Lawrence sees Bra Man later on, and the dude's wearing like a really tight sweater. Like he wasn't wearing the sweater earlier. It's like a child's sweater on him. It's like real tight. And Martin's like, he's like, no, yelling at these people, and he's like, Bra Man, is that my sweater? And he's like, yeah, man, it was a little draft in here, so I put the sweater on. He's like, that's it's like, why did you ask me? It's like 5 times too small. And he's like freaking out at Bra Man. He's like getting to the point where he wants to punch on, and like Bra Man's just like, I could crush you. He's just like, sorry, man, I'll take it off. And he's like, don't take it off, you'll rip it. And like all this shit. And then later on, I think there was like another episode. Martin comes home where he's doing something and Brahman comes out of his fucking shower. We're using his towel. He's like, Brahman, like I think he had people over and Brahman was there again.
Yeah,
And, like
yeah.
Brahman used his fucking shower and like comes out and he's just like, what the fuck are you doing? And he's just like, oh man, I was a bit dirty, so I used the shower. And I just thought like, I always admire like Kramer, for instance, on Seinfeld. I would love to just live Kramer's life for a year in New York. Like Kramer, he just doesn't care. He like anywhere he goes, he just has no fear. He has no shame. Like he'll just go somewhere and like make a scene in the public place, or he'll like scream at someone down the street and like if someone like cut you off, or if you were walking down the street and someone stepped on your new shoe, and then they kept walking really fast, you turned around, you'd kind of be like, "Oh, you fucking cunt," you know?
Yeah.
Or
to
you'd-
yourself.
Yeah, or you'd follow him and like talk to him. You wouldn't be like, "Hey, what are you doing?" You know, like New Yorkers would.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
like Kramer does that stuff, and like
walking here.
Yeah, and Brahman, like people who like opportunistic people, like, "Oh, I'm a bit dirty. I'm at some random's place. I'm just gonna fucking go have a shower in the thing." Like,
Dude,
I love that.
there's people out there that are like that. Like,
Yeah.
there's people that just full on make themselves at home. Like, and partially it's like, good on you. But the other part is probably if you're the owner of the place and you're like,
Not
I don't
at my
even know this
expense.
guy. Like, what's his towel doing what's my towel doing wrapped around his naked body right now?
Yeah.
Like, what's going on?
yeah, you'd be fuming, wouldn't you?
Absolutely fuming.
It's difficult. It's difficult. I don't know. We might get deep for a second, but empathy. I remember being a kid and just like having buckets of empathy, and like a well of empathy. I have an unlimited amount of empathy for animals. I don't care what stage in my life it's ever been. If I see an injured animal, I fucking just go to water. You know, especially obviously domesticated animals because we're a lot closer to
Yeah,
them.
yeah.
But like, you know,
But if you see an injured human, you're like, ah.
yeah, I'm just like, oh shit, you're right. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
like,
but that
but dude,
is
I'm
empathy.
good though.
That
like,
is empathy.
yeah, but I'm like, when it comes to like humans though, dude, like I'm good. Like, do you know Fallout?
Nah.
It's like Fallout was like that game. You know the game Fallout.
Yeah, okay.
No,
yeah,
wait.
maybe, yeah.
Yeah,
Is
Fallout
it?
New Vegas. Is it
Probably.
Fallout? Yeah. It's
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
like Bethesda. It's like the people who do Skyrim and stuff.
Mm.
On that game, if you do good things, it has like karma points. It's like, bring,
Oh, they do that on like
negative karma as well.
Red Dead Redemption.
Oh,
as
true,
well. You
yeah.
know, the Western one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But dude, I've earned a lot of karma points. Like, you know, I'll be walking down the street and there'll be like an old woman needing to help carry groceries. I'll do it. I won't even think about it. I won't be like, oh fuck, this is inconvenient. Like I'll just be like, oh, do you need a hand?
But it's
And things like that. But like, so I'd have sorry to cut you off. I'd have no problems with helping other people out. If a human being was hit by a bus and they were still breathing, I'd like
Oh.
pick them up, you know, make sure I don't move them so their, you know, vertebrae is not destroyed.
Yeah.
I'd take my shirt off and wrap it under, put it under their head. If it's cold, I'd take a jumper off, put it over them and call the air, scream. So that's no drama in like doing the right thing. I think most human beings would do the right thing.
there is different. I feel like there's different reactions to that sort of thing because witnessing that sort of thing is not a normal thing. Like some people would go like into shock. But
Yeah.
that's what I was about to bring up. It's like if you see an accident of some sort, like car crash, doesn't necessarily have to be hit by a bus, but a car crash might not be that serious. Like I would like to think that I would go up and I would try and help somewhere. I'd be like, you're right. I've only ever witnessed a couple of minor accidents. Like I remember we were driving to this, it was actually a work thing. We went to this work 4-wheel driving thing on some island and we were driving there down this highway and we came across this truck pulled over and this like little SUV pulled over with the front smashed in. And we pulled over because we were one of the first there. There might have been 2 other cars pulled over. And I remember running up and the door was already open. There was this really old guy and he looked quite frail. And he had a bit of blood out of his nose. Like he was okay. He was conscious.
Was he kind of just like sitting there like,
No, he was like, he was very confused as to what was going on. So I don't know whether he fell asleep, but he rammed the truck like he rammed into the back of the truck. So he must have either fallen asleep with his foot on the accelerator and sped up because he hit it quite hard. And this was a highway. So I'm very confused as to what happened, or the truck had to brake for something. But he was okay, but his leg was like wedged under the dash. So like his foot was on the ground on the floor of the car and his knee was like pressed under the dash.
So the front of the car was buckled down into his leg, like
was smashed. I think it's just the way he went forward. His knee would have gone forward and just got wedged.
not the knee.
So we couldn't get his leg out. It was like a stick with pressure on either side. So, and we just said to him, we're like, don't try and get out. And I was like, let's make sure he's safe. And I'm looking at him and I'm going, what's that noise? The car was still running. I was like, what? This front end smashed in, the engine's still running. I'm like, okay, switch the engine off. I'm like, all good. I checked for leaks. I'm like, make sure it's not going to go up in flames or something. And someone's like, we've already called 000. And I was like, okay, cool. And we just made sure he was fine. And then we were like, all right, well, there's not much more we could have done. So then we just like left because there was 2 people already there that must have witnessed it. And they're like, yeah, we'll stay here for statements and stuff if we need to. But I think that sort of thing, most people will do that. And
decency,
yeah, and that's what I was talking about when we were talking about crying, like watching like those faith in humanity videos where something goes wrong and then you see just people rushing out of storefronts and just to help, and you're like, oh, beautiful. Like everyone's just there to lend a hand.
Dude, I remember in primary school, I think I was in maybe year 2 or 3. I think I was in year 3 actually. So in the first 3 years of primary, I was in the front, the front of the school, the office in Kimberley Park Primary School. Phil and I went to the same
that's
primary
where,
school and high school.
Yeah.
So down, where the office was, and then those classes down there, like right at the front of the gate, you could walk out and then go.
I was in that front class when I first got to the school. I was very first building.
I was probably in the class next to you for like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
But I remember, when you walk out and then you go around and then you go up to the adventure playground they used to call it. Yeah. I remember one day I was just like, I think I had like I remember.
The one on the very left, right? If you're looking at, yeah.
Yeah,
I remember.
Exactly, yeah. I remember I had, my teeth were falling out as a kid.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember this vaguely. I was like fiddling with my tooth. And I remember Star Wars came out, Star Wars Phantom Menace. And Darth Maul, he used to grin and he had like bloody kind of like gums. And I used to go up to the kids in school and they'd be like, Joe, do it again. And I'd like fiddle with this tooth getting loose. So it'd bleed. And then I'd bleed in my mouth and go, and they'd be like, yeah. And I was like, they love me.
You're an entertainer.
Exactly. Always done it. So I'm walking up, fiddling with my tooth. It was like just went lunchtime, like kids play around the playgrounds. And I saw these like just a swarm of kids circling around, but they were at a distance. So there was something in a center and kids were like 3 meters standing away because everyone was shocked. Nobody was crowded around. It was like at a distance, but everyone was watching. And I remember walking up and just looking, and this like kid, I think he was like Papua New Guinean or something. He was sitting there crying with his knee up, and it was the first time in my life I'd seen gore. His kneecap was off.
Oh!
Like his kneecap had like popped off. And all I could see was
removed, like hanging.
I was a little kid, but like I'm pretty sure his kneecap had come like torn off to the side, and it was just like, dude, it was just like,
spraying.
And I swear I saw blue stuff too, like veins or something maybe, or like
God.
And I remember I remember seeing The Rock, so I think he'd ran and slid, and as he slid, his knee like this, and The Rock
just got.
So here's
his
the ground.
knee got decapitated.
Yeah, The Rock was digging out of the ground like that. So as he ran, his knee got ripped. And I remember him just being like, freaking out. And the teacher was great. I remember it specifically. I remember in the future, as a kid, it like imprinted in my brain of like, if I was having a situation, say what the teacher was saying. She was just like, just don't look at it. Look at me. Don't worry about it.
Smart.
And I remember seeing it and just being like, oh fuck. And then I kept going because the teacher had it under control, and I was kind of like, I got friends I gotta go play like handball or something.
This vision imprinted in your brain. Yeah.
And I remember for ages afterwards, there was another kid in our school who looked just like him. And so every time I'd see that kid, I remember as a kid, like time is like, we don't really have a strong grasp of time. Like we may drive 2 hours to like a holiday destination or something like that, or like a beach. But as a kid, that felt like a whole day in the car, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't know how long it was,
Wait,
but I remember.
remind me to tell you something funny about kids and time.
Okay.
Keep going.
But I remember ages later, I saw that kid again and he had like a white bandage on his knee. And then at times I'd see the other kid who looked like him and he didn't have the white bandage at knee. So at that point in time, I was like, oh, okay, and there's two different kids. And then so whenever I did see the kid with the white bandage, I never spoke to him, but I'd always see him like ages away. I'd always be like, fuck, he's walking on it, so it must be right. So, I mean, again, I was a child, so I don't think his knee popped off, but I'm pretty sure his knee actually like tore
badly.
like because you could see
There was a
into
bad
it.
cut.
You
Yeah.
could see into it. I have no doubt about that.
I remember that off as well because when I was 11, must have been 11 because I would have been 10 turning 11. I broke my collarbone on the oval at that school. So I was playing footy and I never played footy, right? So this is like my first or second time. A couple of kids that weren't even really close friends, they're like, oh, come play footy. I'm like, yeah, let's play footy. What's that? Like, let's tackle each other. That sounds silly. 2 kids tackle me. I land on my right shoulder. 2 kids on top of me, and I just hear this. And I was like, no, what's going on? And I remember just being like, ow, ow, ow. And the kids were like, oh, what's going on? And the teacher ran over. She was like, oh, let's go to the office. And I like limped to the office. I was like, wah. But broke my collarbone like pretty badly.
Was it like
it went full compound, so full break, and then like overlapped on top of itself. Like
The thing about collarbones is like they can't mend them. They just have to mend themselves, right? They don't put pins in them or anything. They just have to. Is that right?
Yeah, so it's really stupid. And this was the point where my parents, I wouldn't have known at the time because I was so young, but my parents got the full brunt of how crappy the system, the hospital system really was. Maybe back then it's probably improved slightly now because I have been for surgery since then and everything seemed pretty fine. But they were trying to get me like some proper, like, what are we doing about this? All they did was put me in a single sling and were like, oh yeah, that's all we can do. See you later. And they had to like, apparently, I don't know, but they were ringing around like, who the hell did we have to see to actually see someone that knew what they were talking about? And I think it took like a week or two until I saw this
Specialist.
proper special doctor in the hospital who then made me sit down and was like, this is going to hurt. And he made me put my hands on my bum so it stretches your chest out. And I was like, ah. And he put these backpack straps on me without a backpack, but these straps that just pull your shoulders back. So basically you're trying to pull the collarbone straight.
And
that
like, dude, if you get a
killed.
nerve stuck in between that two, you're fucked.
It killed.
Dude, I fucking broke my collarbone in year 8.
Oh, did you? Yeah.
And the oval, dude. Like,
Did like that as well?
here's
Pressure
the thing.
and
Here's the fucked up thing. Remember, I've spoke about in the past how my parents are very like, just like, you live, move on.
Yeah, very.
So I'm playing footy in the oval with this dude I went to primary school with. He was in my grade. Tyson, he was a grade above. So when I got to Springwood, he was there. He's like, oh, come play footy with us. Same thing, playing footy. I was running on the oval. I got ankle tapped. And as I fell down, my hand fell first. And I just felt this like, it literally like a sound. It went like that. Literally like, it was in my inner ear. That's what it sounded like. Exactly like that. Not a single iota different. And I went, oh, and I got up and it literally felt like I had tied like 100 kilo weight to my arm. My shoulder just hanged and it was like just a numb, aching weight.
Yeah.
Is that what it felt like for you? Because this is the thing. Here's the thing. I went to the office. I like walked to the office. My brother and his mates were sitting near the MPS amphitheater, the main like where we have our halls. And I remember I looked at him. My brother knew how he looked at me. He's like, "Are you all right?" And my brother never spoke to me at school. He's like, "A little brother, fuck that cunt."
Yeah.
And I remember he looked at me. He's like, "Are you all right?" And I was like, "Yeah." And all his mates were like, "Hey, Charlie." And I was like, "Yeah, how you going?" Like I was holding my bag. I was literally walking like this. Like I was trying to act cool. Like I was just like, "Yeah, I'm
So
chilling."
drooped shoulder, trying
Totally
to hold your
drooped.
bag on the other shoulder, be cool.
Yeah. As soon as I got to the office, I was like, "I think I've broken something." And she was like, "All right, sit down. I'll call your parent." And I sat down and dude, it wasn't like I needed to, but I just started bawling my eyes out.
Yeah.
And the lady came in and she's like, "Oh, you're in shock." And I was like, "What?" Like I was literally like, this
Absolutely.
has never happened to me before. And then my mum picked me up and like it was obviously fucked. And like if I touched it, it felt like a nerve. I was touching a nerve. So
I didn't even try and touch it.
When you said the arm thing, I could only imagine. And dude, I never went to a doctor.
Really?
Mother-
Well, pretty much you can't do that much. So do you even know?
My mum said to me,
how
"Oh, your
broken it
collarbone's
was?
not broken."
Really?
Never-
Do you know
never
it was
went to the
broken?
doc-
Did you get an X-ray or anything? No.
Never found out. But
Did you ever get an X-ray
when I
after
put-
to
No,
figure out?
No, my parents just was like, no, you're fine. You're not bleeding.
Oh God.
Yeah, I had hardcore parents, bro. But like when I touch it, it doesn't hurt anymore. There's no nerves. But a long months afterwards, when I thought it was healed, I'd touch it and it was like, ooh, ooh.
So I
And like when I squat and I do shoulder press and stuff, it doesn't hurt anymore. So
yeah.
I always thought maybe I didn't have a break, maybe I had a minor fracture. But dude, it felt like someone had felt. Can you imagine literally sledgehammering on your shoulder?
Yeah.
Like that's what it fucking felt like.
Yeah, it could have been a hairline fracture, but they hurt just as much. But like
I'm thinking it was that.
my one was shit because I don't know if that is the reason, but maybe because they were late to the party to strapping my shoulders back, and it maybe grew a little bit overlapped. Because I had a big lump, like not a lump, but I
had a lump
I could
too.
feel the step down.
I had that.
So maybe you definitely
I
had
didn't
it
have
broken.
I didn't have a step down. Mine literally just went like that. Like it
Oh, it
went
had a little
over, bump over.
bump. So that would have been the calcification
True.
around it, because it like calcifies around the break and then it gets more solid as time goes on.
Fuck.
So I'm assuming mine was like this and calcified all around, and I could just feel that little.
So when you
step
did the pull,
bump.
did it pop it back out?
It
Tell me
wouldn't have.
about your healing process. Like, was it painful months after? Like, what was it like?
Yeah, it would have been weeks. It wouldn't have been months. But I remember just being on the couch, not wanting to move my head, like breathing hurts. I was only 10. Like, I was like, eh. So because your lungs are expanding, I was like, I can't breathe properly. And I can't imagine breaking a rib. I've never broken a rib. I don't want to, but I can't imagine how painful that would be.
See what you're saying, the turning of the head, the breathing. I had all issues with that. So
Yeah.
this is why I tend to think that I did break something.
So
These are the telltale signs.
my parents being creative, I'm laying on the couch. We had the TV. We didn't have like a TV cabinet where the TV was high. It was the old school style TVs. We still had it like, and it was sitting like on the ground.
Those
Nah,
ones?
not full.
I
It
had
was-
one of those ones.
We did in the kitchen, but this was the living room, and it was more digital, but it was still old school, and it was down the bottom. So I was like, I can't see it.
Like
On the floor, basically, in like a shelf sort of thing, but down low. So I couldn't look at it, and so my parents put a mirror. They hung a mirror up on the couch, on the head of the couch, and like tied it up so I could see the TV in the mirror. And I watched like some movies and stuff. And then like years later, I would watch the movie again, and I'm like, why does this look wrong? Because I saw it flipped. I saw the mirror image version of
opposite.
the
Yeah,
movie,
yeah.
so it was like opposite. I was like, oh, that's why.
dude, just man, I don't want to sound like a whiner or anything, but like my parents fed me, they took care of me. If I was sick at school, they picked me up. But like my parents wouldn't have done that. They wouldn't have set a mirror up. They wouldn't have they would have just been like, just watch the fucking telly in the living room. We'll just fucking go do something else. Like they'd make me feel guilty. Like
Yeah.
I can't sit in my room. I want to watch TV as well. It'd be news time. I want to watch the fucking news. Just put your fucking shows on and just be like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm
Sorry, I'm an
I'm
inconvenience.
I'm sorry, I'm your fucking child. Yeah. So like, I mean, I'm not bagging my parents or anything.
I'm
but like-
sorry you had me.
yeah, exactly. And it felt like that sometimes.
Yeah.
But anyways, but like, that's so fucking cool that your parents did that for you, bro. Did you take time off school? Was it like,
Oh, of course, heaps.
yeah?
So the reason I remember vividly how old I was is because the first day that I was meant to go back to school, my sister would have been in kindergarten at the time, and Mum was like, "All right, yeah, I think it's time you go back to school." I still had a sling, and I was like, "Yeah, okay." And I sat in the car, I was in the front seat, and we drove to school. No, we drove to the kindergarten first, and Mum dropped Jackie into the kindergarten, and I remember being like waiting in the car, and I was like, "Oh, I don't feel too good." Hey, it's Pickles,
It's Pickles, everyone. Philip's
little Pickles.
Moodle.
Pickles was scratching at the door, wanting to get in, so he wants to be part of the podcast. Hi, Pickles. Say hello. What's that? What's that? What's this?
Is that food, son?
He looked straight at it.
Good boy.
That's the pickle shot.
See
You
you
shut that as well because that'll be in the background. But we dropped my sister off to kindy first, and I remember sitting in the front seat being like, "Oh, I don't want to go to school. I feel shit." And Mum came out, and she was like, "Oh, something.
She said it in German.
Yeah, she would have said it in German, but she was like, something's wrong. Like,
Say it in German, Philip.
no, I don't remember
Sorry.
exactly what she said
You're right,
because
you're
she
right.
said, "Oh, I think a plane crashed into the World Trade Center," and I was like, "Oh," and I was very up with the buildings because I made like little Lego models to scale of which one was the tallest building. So I was like, "No, not the World Trade Center," and we were obviously thinking it was an accident. And then we got home, and I remember just watching the news all day with
How did
this
you-
broken collarbone, just being like, "Oh God."
How did your parents take it? There was no tears, but were they just like, Walter, this is crazy, man.
I don't really remember. I just remember seeing way too much on TV because I remember the footage they were showing. You wouldn't even be able to find now. Like
Yeah.
it was hardcore stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
We won't get into it because it's a fun podcast.
Well, hang on a minute. So, but there are, and we don't know the names. We discussed this,
Yeah.
but they actually invented. Someone somewhere invented. It's like a parachute. It's almost like an inflatable boat that you see in like the movies when they're
Yeah.
like trapped at sea. But it's almost like a hexagon, and it comes out. It's basically it almost looks like badminton.
Mhm.
Remember the badminton?
Yeah, yeah,
bat?
yeah,
So
yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
yeah.
it's like that. The human goes on top, and then it comes out like that. And so you pull the pin at your back against the window, and it opens up, and then you fall like a leaf down to the ground, and then you're sat in the center.
And it's
of it.
probably not like full slows you down parachute because it's got like cushioning on the bottom where when you land it like catches you as
Jars,
if
yeah.
you're landing on a jumping castle.
It'd be like a jumping castle, wouldn't it? Because it's all that same material, but like
Oh, the
Canvas
amount of
and-
times I've thought about that shit, like what the hell could have been done for those people at the top?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
dude, I look at videos like because like last podcast or a couple of podcasts ago, you were describing how you've done like bungee jumping and skydiving.
Oh yeah.
And so, funny enough,
Did we discuss that on the podcast?
last podcast?
Yeah.
mine, yeah.
Oh
and,
yeah.
and dude, typical out of the blue, the algorithm. I've been getting a lot of bungee jumping videos on my TikTok
You're
and Instagram.
kidding.
No shit. Oh, sorry,
So-
YouTube. But what I was going to say is that when I watch these videos, I get the sweats. Like my palms are sweating. Like I know I'll do it. Like
Are you afraid of heights?
I'm not afraid of heights, but like, you know, if I'm gonna jump out of a fucking plane or like if I'm bungee jumping, then obviously I'm like, oh shit, you know.
Do you know a funny thing about heights? I never really thought that I was afraid of heights. I feel like the older I get, the more scared I am. Like now when I walk on the I'm walking like a hiking trail with a drop off or something. Now I get more
get the-
nervous
you get the
than when I
willies.
was younger. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like I don't know how to boil it down in my head. I don't know what the psychology of it is, but I feel like when I'm with a group of people or when I'm with others, I get more scared when others are close to the edge. I'm like, no, I do
'Cause you
not
know you're
want
gonna
to
be the
witness
one to
that.
help them?
I do not want to witness someone falling. That would be my worst nightmare.
Is the empathy kicking in?
Oh,
yeah.
yuck.
But dude,
Ugh.
here's the thing about the 9/11 though. I'm looking at these videos of people doing bungee jumping,
Mm.
and there's a lot of parody ones where the guy's like, "We're going to count you in." It's always like some European dude or
Oh,
like
yeah.
Asian guy. He's like, and then they're like, okay. He's like, on the count of 3, we'll let you go, or we'll cut the line. They're like, all right. And they're like, 1, and they check out, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm watching this and like, I'm like, oh, I will definitely do it, and it's exciting. But I'm like, holy fuck, like I'm
You would
panic-
hate them
I get
so
sweaty
much at
palms.
the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, dude, it was funny. I thought I've been watching these videos, and then I think I was at work the other day because I work in King's Cross and these massive skyscrapers. And I remember I was like typing on my laptop, and I just looked up and I looked at a building, and I thought, oh, this is interesting. Like, because side noting, but the same topic. I knew a dude back in Brisbane. His name was Jack. He worked for Channel 7. He was like a cameraman. He like went on. He was always on the scene, or he edited the camera footage. And he said more times than not, like at least 12 times a month, people jump off buildings in Brisbane City. And it'd be everywhere. It'd be Sydney as well. But they never talk about it on the on the news. They don't say, a man committed suicide today, because obviously it's too gnarly, right?
Yeah.
So I thought about it. I thought about that, and then I was looking up at this building, and I was like, because I was like, I'm like third story up, and then there's like big hotel buildings across from me outside, and I was like, imagine right now if someone just jumped out of that fucking building, like, would I get up and like go, hey everyone, look? Or would I just be like sit there and like comatose, like,
You'd probably just be not knowing what to do.
yeah,
This is
and-
getting dark.
Totally. I mean, welcome to the Van Leader. And so I'm sitting there and I'm having this thought, to those who
We shouldn't really
to
choose
those,
that, but
no,
yes.
to those
Oh,
we
yeah.
lost in 9/11, right?
Yes.
I mean, they weren't our kinsmen, but they're human beings, and every human being deserves respect.
Absolutely. I did want to diverge on.
I was just going to
Oh,
say,
sorry,
that,
yeah.
I'm so sorry. So I thought about what it must have been like for those 9/11 people at the time, just plummeting and just like letting go. And it was just, dude, I literally almost had like a microscopic panic attack. I was
Yeah.
like watching when you watch bungee jumping videos and you get that nervous bump, you're like, oh, I was literally like jumping into an ice bath. I remember sitting there, calm at work, I had a coffee, I had like a croissant. I was like, oh God, and I just felt a chill.
Ah.
Fuck that, dude. Fuck jump. Oh, those poor people.
Like jumping into an ice bath, you reckon? Have you done that? You jumped into an
No,
ice bath?
no.
What's the coldest you've jumped into in terms of water?
I got a great one. When I went to Canada, we went to Whistler, a little town. Sorry, everyone. Pickles is Vulcan.
yeah, it would be in the background of yours.
Yeah, let me start
What
the
are you
story
doing,
again.
Pickles?
When I was in Canada, in Whistler, we went there and it was like a beautiful sunny day. It was probably like 28, 29 degrees. It was warm. And someone was like, hey, there's like a local like lake quarry kind of thing there. So we went down and there's all these people sunbaking stuff. They had like the nice wooden jetty you could just run and jump off. Hallmark moment kind of thing. And we went down, then there was like a bunch of like hot Canadian chicks sitting there and shit. And we had met this chick in Vancouver who was she was Aussie, yeah. And she was like, hey, are you guys going to Whistler tomorrow? And we're like, yeah. And she's like, well, I am too. Do you want to come with? And we're like, yeah. She's like, what are you doing when you get there? And we're like, oh, we have like we're going to get like a hotel or a hostel, sorry. And she's like, oh, well, I have a place you can stay with me and some people. We got there.
Wonderful.
We got there and it was like 12 fucking backpackers in there. No, I'm over exaggerating. There's probably like 6 backpackers in like a 3-bedroom, 2-story place.
Jeez, yeah.
There's shit everywhere. People's like skiing, snowboarding gear, bags everywhere. And we went up there and they're all just like, a couple of them are Aussies and they were like, yeah, I fucking did so many racks of line. And they looked at us and we were just like, yeah, no, this isn't going to work. So we just looked at her. We're like, yeah, we're going to go. We went, but before we went, she's like, oh, we're going to go to this place later, meet us up. So we're like, yeah, went and got a hostel, top of this nice hill, met her down there and she had like a hot Canadian friend and some other people. I'm painting the picture, aren't I?
Yeah,
I'm talking
paint
too
it.
much. I'm sorry, bro.
Absolutely.
We walked down there and like, we were like, oi, me and the 2 boys, I was like, you fucking will jump in the water. And the Aussie chick was like, don't do that.
This was snow time.
So no, this was July, the whole month of July
yeah,
I was in
okay,
Canada.
yeah.
So this is like, snow is melting on tops. Bears are coming out of hibernation.
yeah,
they're eating
yeah,
the
so
grass.
it's getting warmer,
Yeah,
but the water
yeah.
would be cold.
Like the tip of the mountains is snow capped, but the rest of it's like, yeah. And she was like, you guys are going to freeze. And we're like, fucking yeah, Aussie cunt. You know, we fight crocodiles. I didn't give a fuck. Ran
That's
and
just
jumped
dangerous.
in. Ran and jumped in, dude. It was probably like, the water was probably like minus fucking like 12, 10, 11.
It would have
something.
probably been like +5 or something.
You think?
Yeah.
All right.
It would feel like you're about to die.
Yeah.
Is it?
Dude,
was
so
it-
as
was
soon as
it
I jumped
like
in,
shock.
Yeah, I came up. I was like, and so you're in the water, and the jetty comes up to here. So you're like trying to like full up a body strength to pull yourself out. You're like,
Oh, you jumped off a jetty.
Yeah.
Idiots.
Into the
Like,
water.
you
So-
could have drowned from shock. People
Yeah.
actually go into shock and drown
For
in
real.
freezing water. Yeah.
there you go. And we just came from Brisbane, bro. It was like the tropics. So we jumped out, and we were like I remember like hopping out and then lying my back on the jetty and being like, like red, and you could see the heat coming off me. And then like it didn't take too long. Like took maybe like 5 minutes, and then we calmed down, dried ourselves off, sat out in the sun, obviously just like bathed, just like.
You've done way more Wim Hof than me. that's
Dude,
epic.
that was probably the gnarliest I've had, like cold,
Oh,
you know.
and that would be like proper ice bath cold. Like,
Although when I got to Toronto, dude, like it was the last city on our trip, and then we went from Toronto to LA and then home. When I got to Toronto, the first, because I had like a big fucking North Face jacket, and I was just like warm. I thought I was warm. Like we were walking around, and the wind. You know how when you feel like it's colder in the city because like the wind channels through like city streets and stuff.
Yuck. I hate wind, dude.
it's
I don't
fucked,
mind the
isn't it?
cold. I hate
The
wind.
wind, yeah.
Kills me.
Yeah, I was walking through
time.
Toronto. Wind was fucking just nailing me, dude. And I remember being like it literally felt like if you could see like a Know what I'm saying? If you could literally see like atoms almost.
Yeah.
Like cold atoms like traveling through my clothing into my like physical being
Yeah.
and then staying there.
Just
It was like invisible, like it was touching my bones. It was that cold. I remember just being like, "Ugh, is this bar really that worth it? Do we need to get drinks right now?"
Dude, the coldest air I've ever felt, with wind, was in Iceland at this waterfall. And because we were watching this waterfall that was half frozen, half of it was still flowing, the water particles in the air, so the humidity in the air and this wind, and it was hitting our faces. And we were proper rugged up, like puffer jacket, beanie and everything. We were ready for it. But just in your eyes and face area, it was just like needles, like, and we're like, God damn it, let's get a photo and get the hell out of here. Back
you have,
to the
like-
bus.
Did you have like snotsicles coming out and shit, like the red face afterwards?
Oh yeah, 100%. It was bad. Like I got back into this bus and I was like, that was the coldest thing I've ever felt. Like coldest air. I haven't done cryotherapy or anything. I do want to do cryotherapy. Do you know?
Is that the one where you like?
You stand in like a little
It's like
tube.
comes up to your like collarbones.
Yeah, and they just pump freezing cold. I think it's not steam, but like freezing cold air on you. I think it's minus 270 degrees or something. Let's let the pickle out.
Where did you do the cryo?
I haven't done cryo, so I want to do cryo.
Some gyms in America I've seen like I remember seeing a video of Zac Efron was like trains and then he like fucking went into this cryo like.
we should do it because I want to do it. I've looked up a
Dude,
couple of places.
Let's fucking go to you and I. We should hire a ute for a day. We should go to a servo and buy like 6 bags of ice.
We could do it in a bathtub, man.
Well, we both have baths, but I was going to say we should
Fill it up halfway with
buy some
cold
old-
water and the rest with bags of ice.
But then it's like it's cramped. You want to be out in the open, right? You want to have like a better shot of everything, right?
yeah, we would
You
have
want
to
some
film
sunlight
it to,
on you, yeah.
to play it on the Van Liter and discuss.
We could go to like a junkyard, get an old tub, right? Seal it, fill it with ice, and just try it. Do the Wim Hof. That's what my mate Taylor does. He just has like a bathtub in his backyard. And he like fills it up like a nice white tub.
Yeah,
Just like a random one. He's just put in his backyard. And he fills
that's
it.
cool as.
You know.
So you can actually, they're expensive, but you can buy like ice baths, and they're basically like a freezer bathtub that you keep outside, and it's got a lid on it. I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Then you can just slip on in, and
Oh,
it just
yeah, like a
stays
spa?
at the 0 point, like just above 0, I think, so it doesn't freeze over.
That's sick.
That would be dope. But we would have to do it. Yes, we would have to do it with bags of ice,
Well,
or you can go. You can go to places that do ice baths. I found a couple of places, not a couple. I found one place that's close to here that does ice baths.
also, it's not the cryo, it's just ice baths.
Well, 2 different places. I found one where there's cryo, one where there's ice baths. But you can
Let's do it.
And the ice bath one, it's this woman that does full Wim Hof sessions, so breathing
shit.
sessions and everything. I would love to do it.
Fuck yeah.
Love to do it. We should do it.
Yeah, dude.
I got to tell you about my time story of children not being able to keep track
Let's
of time.
do it.
So like road tripping, when I was road tripping, my favorite food as a kid, hands down, was just spaghetti. And my dad would cook this tomato based sauce, and it would just be plain. I was a picky eater. We all were as a kid,
Like, yeah, for real.
or me and my siblings, but he would cook this plain tomato-based sauce, almost like what you buy in a jar now, but way better, right? We were like, yeah, Dad, sauce.
Fuck you,
Yeah.
El Paso.
Yeah, exactly. Fuck you. I don't like them. Like, they always got something that's too strong. Like, this one tastes purely like coriander or something. Like, it's
yeah.
But
Make
he
your
would,
own.
yeah, he'd make the sauce and spaghetti, and that was my favorite food. Like when Mum tells me that when I was sick, when I was a little boy, when I was sick, I would be like, I need spaghetti, and she would cook me spaghetti, and then I would be done. Like I'd be like, oh, I'm good, I'm better now.
Yeah.
So when we would drive on long trips, and we would be the annoying kids. Are we there yet? Or how far is it?
They just feed you spaghetti to shut you up.
No. It was the measure of time. So Dad would say, "Oh, it's 3 times cooking spaghetti. That's how much time's left." Because it was about 10 minutes of boiling the pasta.
I have another story like
Yes.
that, dude. I would say I remember being somewhere. I can't remember where it was, but I remember being in the car with my old man, and my old man saying, "Oh, it's about a 30-minute drive." And I said, "What's that?" He said, "An episode of The Simpsons."
Oh, boom.
Because they're about 25 minutes. And
Yeah.
dude, I've always used that logic to this day.
Yes.
I fucking use that logic. I was like, "Oh, an episode of The Simpsons." Yeah. It's crazy what we absorb as children, right?
Yeah, and that's our measure of time. And I would be satisfied with that answer because he would say, he would say it in German. He would say, "Zweimal Nudeln kochen," and it means like cooking noodles twice.
Zweimal-
And I was like,
zweimal Nudeln
"Zweimal
kochen."
is 2 times." And I was like,
Zweimal Nudeln
Kochen.
Kochen.
"Kochen is cooking."
I love learning a new language.
Nudeln
Isn't
kochen.
German a beautiful language, everyone? Legit. Like,
It sounds so angry, but it is quite.
It's
quite
romantic.
fascinating
It's
to
strong,
hear
dude.
someone speaking German.
in
dieses-
Maschrein Minach.
Dieses Bier ist unglaublich.
Unglaublich.
This beer is unglaublich. This beer is unbelievable. That's what we were saying. Did
And
we translate it before for our listeners or no?
I think so. And
Yeah.
another thing, we're in Sydney right now. It's cold. Es wird keine Poolparty geben.
No.
There will be no pool party tonight.
There will be no pool party. Es wird keine Pool Party geben. I remember that sentence when Joel and I were in school together. For some reason, he walked up to me and said, "How do I say there will be no pool party?" Did
No,
I
no,
teach
no,
you? No,
no,
you walked
no.
up to me and said the actual phrase.
I was watching Dodgeball. The
It's
Ben
from
Stiller, yeah. So the German team had Hasselhoff.
that. Yeah.
And he's like, "Es wird keine Poolparty geben." And I remember being like, "Dude, what is it?" I even asked Jackie too. I remember I was with you.
My sister.
I remember I was with you and your Jackie was there and I was like, "What does this mean?" And then you two like looked at each other like, "Is this English speaking monkey?"
This single lingo monkey.
Yeah.
We are the Duolingos.
Yeah. But that was good shit, dude. Good times.
Classic.
So, yeah.
I watched June
Mm.
because you told me I should watch June. A couple of people have told me or asked me if I've seen June. I watched June. Good movie. I didn't realize it was actually an old movie and it's a remake until I later looked it up.
Yeah, so the book was written in the 70s, I believe.
Yeah. So pretty cool movie. Do you know what I noticed though in that movie? And it's like this obsession of the human species. We just want to be able to conquer gravity. We want to be able to defy gravity. Every futuristic sci-fi movie defies gravity in some way. We've got some sort of method where things just float up into the air slowly and then travel with them, our spacecraft or whatever, without having a huge amount of propulsion. Because like,
And those Sardaukar, the Emperor's fucking
Yeah.
personal elite. Dude, there's some great lore. There's some great lore in Dune, like those Sardaukar were like, they're taken from like feral worlds or like the worst of the worst prisoners and scumbags, and they reformed into soldiers. And they're the emperor's personal elite soldiers.
yeah.
And so you remember the warm. He's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
he's like,
Yeah, it's some
You
cool...
will send 3 legions to Arrakis.
that weird fucking lizard
Yeah.
man dude.
It's
Yeah, bro, those dudes in the book are fucking nuts. I haven't read the book yet, but they're pretty. They're all about the Krieg. That's German for war, everyone.
yeah.
But dude, one thing that bothered me, and this is the thing, I'm gonna get film deep. Older films, if you watch a film from the 80s or 90s, right? Here will be a scene. A guy will walk into the room, and what he's about to do is he's got to think about something, and then he's got to go and grab his keys, and then he's going to go back out. He's like, maybe he's a detective, right? He comes into the room, he's like, "No, I'm going to sit down and have a scotch and pass out. I've been working for 42 hours. And he's like, "No, I've got something about the case. I remember." And he runs back out, grabs his keys and goes back out, puts his coat back on. No sleep for the wicked or whatever, right? Back in the 80s or 90s, the guy would come in, he'd sit down, the music would be playing, he'd look out, you know, the sweet saxophone. So you get a perspective of the dude's deep. He's introspective. He's looking outside. You hear like car sirens and people fighting outside and taxis honking, and he thinks about it. And then he has a moment, and then maybe he lights a cigarette and he thinks about it. And those were great moments. I grew up with those moments where you were just like, because you're watching a movie, you're with it, you're feeling it, you're understanding what this guy's going through. You've watched his journey from the start, and now you're at this turning point for this guy, right? These days, it's like he'll go in and sit down and go, and he'll run out.
Yeah.
People's attention spans, things are so much fucking quicker these days. And I remember watching Dune and being like, this is slower paced. There's so much more time to think and understand what the characters, or try to interpret what the characters are thinking in these quiet fucking moments. Quiet moments are good. All right?
Silence is good.
When I watched Dune, and I was still in the NT at the time, and I was talking to people, oh, you've seen Dune, da-da-da. And they were like, yeah, but I didn't like it. There was a lot of boring, long, quiet moments. And I just wanted to fucking strangle these people, dude. These are the fucking idiot, worm brain, short attention span, funny Family Guy jokes. You know, it's just like, I fucking hate these people. I hate them.
Everyone's being programmed that way, man.
I mean,
News feeds.
Yeah,
are
but
all
like
7 seconds.
Dune-
7 seconds was the thing, right? With
Yeah.
Vines, they
Yeah.
started this 7-second
I
thing.
mean, and we're feeding into that, man. We're
Absolutely.
uploading our videos into TikTok. Like, look, I'm a huge hypocrite. I can't. But like at the end, like,
well, the time's
I'm only
expanded.
human, right?
Our clips are like 1 minute, which is still very quick, but it's not 7-second vines. Remember when people were trying to cram funny stuff into 7-second vines? Like you have to
They
be like,
really had to
hey,
condense
boom,
it."
boom, 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 punchline,
yeah,
done.
Yeah, but they pulled it off, and like props to them.
And yeah, people became hugely famous through Vine. And then-
Totally. Some of them in films now, but like, yeah, Dune, like, it was brilliant.
the quiet moments.
Yeah, and I think like this because they did it well. Denis Villeneuve, the director, he did it very, very close to the book. There was obviously characters and other stories left out, but there's so many, like, you don't know what happened to Josh Brolin, for instance, right?
Who's that?
Josh Brolin, remember, he's like, follow me, and he runs into that battle while the new.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah.
So in the story, you're probably wondering, it's the future. Why isn't anyone using firearms, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
those-
it's all still like old school sword battling
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
So those shields they bring up, you know, those shields they
Yeah.
wear. So those things are like, it's harder. If you shoot a bullet at those things, it just explodes. It's like high velocity. So that's why when the fuck, what are they called? What's that? Dave Bautista.
worms?
Dave Bautista's mob, the Baron Harkonnens,
Yeah.
the bad guys, when they were dropping nukes onto the Atreides ships, and they were like, shows the shield lighting up, and then they exploded in these massive things, because that's what it was. It was like, these shields are highly volatile, so that's why it's easy to use swords and stuff and have that in the future.
So they're more effective.
Yeah, I mean, I find it, dude. Realistically, dude, I'd be fucking boom, 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 ARing these motherfuckers, watching them explode.
But
in droves.
imagine if that was the future. Like you couldn't use firearms anymore, so we went back to old school fighting.
Yeah.
and it was like it's probably less deaths because you can't just spray people
Exactly.
with bullets.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
they got these shields.
Yeah, dude. Do you know what's like? Let's move away from Doom for a second.
Yeah, let's move away. I want to talk.
Maybe this can be our TikTok clip because this is relevant. I'm seeing, dude, this is the thing. All my life, I was never taught this from my parents, but I just picked this up as a kid. I always walk on the outside of the street, and a woman, doesn't matter if my partner or not, they'll always walk on the inside.
That's a big TikTok meme at the moment too, isn't it?
It's huge, and like
Yeah.
it's like chicks are like, if you don't walk on the inside, if I don't walk on the inside,
I hate that though. I'm
Yeah,
like,
and they're
shut
like,
up.
They're like,
But-
like, why is this
but
a
yes.
thing now? Like, we shouldn't be making a joke about this. Men should just know this naturally. But again, it comes down to why do we salute in the military? We salute because knights who used to joust each other, they'd lift their visors and say respect, and then they lower it.
Is that why?
That's where we get the salute from.
no idea.
And just to be clear,
Wow.
any Australians watching this, Americans salute like this, Australians salute like that. Don't fucking forget where you're from. Yeah, we salute like this. And the Germans,
Such a slight difference.
well, I mean, we all know.
Let's not go there. Let's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
go there. We don't talk about Zavar.
No, I'm pretty sure they still like that. Anyways, so it's the same thing. So funny thing, I'm pretty sure it's all chivalry, right? Men, back in the day when we used to walk around with fucking swords on our person, it would be difficult if a woman was on the outside of us to draw your sword because you'd hit your woman, right? So the woman would stay on the inside. So if a perpetrator comes upon you, how dare thee bump thy shoes? Shing! You'd pull your sword out on guard. Shing! That's why women. I mean, obviously, there's other reasons.
Is that
like-
where it actually comes from?
I'm pretty fucking sure. That's
Pretty
where it comes
sure?
from,
Yeah.
Because if as well as like, you know, back in the day, if there was a puddle, we would take our fucking coat off and put it on the ground, and a woman would walk
yeah,
across it instead
wild.
of walking
and then
around
you put
it.
a puddle coat back on.
Yeah, exactly.
What?
Or like you just toss it. Like what the fuck? So like it's the same thing. So I'm pretty sure, like, you know, at the same time as well, like with my exes and stuff in the past, I've always been like, well, if a car was to swerve and veer off the road, I'd want to be the one who gets hit. I don't want them to get hurt.
Yeah.
Or if the car was to splash water, I don't want them to get wet there. Women are very particular about their makeup and their hair. I'll fucking dry off. I don't care. You know, I don't mind.
We don't care.
Yeah, so, I mean, but there you go. So we've got the knight saluting, drawing of the sword. Women are on the inside. Yeah.
Hey, did everyone have to draw their sword with their right hand? Like, did they
maybe there were
accept
some-
left-handed people
I mean,
back then?
Probably not.
Probably not.
Because, I
it was
mean,
probably
look
that's how you were taught.
Yeah,
So imagine
exactly.
all the guys that were actually left-handed and they were like, it's like trying to fight us with a sword with your left hand. You're like,
Yeah, for real.
They were the shitty fighters.
Yeah. Dude, it's funny. I always grew up, so I'm right-handed, right? But I eat with my knife in my left hand and my fork in my right.
Yeah, always, dude. And people used to
Are you
try
the
and tell-
same?
Yeah.
So you're right-handed, but you're the same.
Yes.
Dude, this is why I
Fork
fucking love
is in
this
the
guy.
right hand, man, because that's what I shovel food in my mouth with. I'm a very quick eater. I'm disgusting, but
I like you, man.
Eh.
It's a good thing you're not a woman because I'd fucking put a ring in your finger, motherfucker. But seriously, like, wait, this is the thing. My strong hand presses the meat down, and my weaker hand easily slices, right? If my weaker hand was to press the meat down, and I've tried to eat like this, and my strong hand cuts, it squiggles off the fucking plate. Am I right?
yeah. Maybe food was just tougher back then because we have lots of evidence that we are now slack-jawed and we eat all this soft food. So
Pretty much.
maybe people needed their strong hand to cut back then.
Exactly.
I don't know. I feel like a lot of it just comes down to like tradition's not the right word, but the way you're supposed to do things. You know, it's all that posh stuff where you're supposed to hold your knife in your right hand and they set out the cutlery. I don't know where the fuck that came from,
Yeah.
but I hate all that shit.
I saw a thing about how the royals, like the British royals, they don't, at the dinner table, they don't put their elbows on the table.
Yeah, apparently that's.
I tried doing that. I think I did that for a year. I just didn't do it. And I sat there like this, and I was like, "Motherfucker, I want to slouch."
I want to slouch. I want
Let me
elbows on the table.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's fucking manly. It's like I fought a dragon one time,
Fought a dragon.
Yeah, I
Where
fought
do
a-
dragons come from?
dude.
Where does the story of dragons come from?
Were we talking about this recently?
I'm not
Or was
sure.
I talking to who was I talking to about? Oh no, I was talking same dude, Ankor. I was talking about the guy at work. He was saying, I think he was trying to allude to the fact that like every civilization has an adaptation of a dragon.
So they must have been real back in the day.
And they were like-
"What is the go?"
And this was the thing as well. I did see this in another doco as well. I saw a Joe Rogan doco. Not Joe Rogan doco, Joe Rogan 20-second clip because we're all part of this fucking short brain attention
Yeah,
span.
yeah.
And the guy was saying birds in particular, I think, or something like that, their bones are different, so they just dissolve. They don't like stay preserved like humans and other larger mammals' bones. So if we all have an adaptation of this kind of dragon, maybe it was some kind of like lizard thing that actually, you know, and then when it died, we didn't have any proof of it because it was, you know,
the bones were too
It-
lightweight
yeah.
for flying.
yeah, it just reached the.
Who knows?
it
Because
chased
you're
the
right.
dunkel.
So many different cultures talk about dragons and what is the history of dragons. I'm gonna have to start going down a YouTube Google hole after this.
For sure.
I think we'll finish it up here.
Yeah.
If we want dragons.
But for real though,
let's
like,
Google some dragons. Let's
that-
watch some videos.
That's
History of dragons.
we should. Sorry, like, yeah, like, I mean, we all know that like the Eastern culture is like, they look at dragons as something, as a boon, you know? It's like dragons are something to do with like fortune and good fortune and wellness and like happiness and Western dragons are like, it's a beast, kill it before it eats our crops. You know?
And
Like,
Western dragons is like, they're going to burn everything. They
exactly.
breathe fire.
Yeah.
Do you reckon they actually breathe fire or it was just a myth somehow? It would, maybe these big creatures existed, these big flying birds, and the myth was just, you don't want to get near those. They breathe fire. Like it was just a made up thing of the like hunters telling the children, and then it just kept carrying on.
Who knows, man? I'd say I'm steering more towards it's bullshit that they breathe fire.
Absolutely, it's
But at the
bullshit.
same time, like I love what humans have created in the past. Like even if it's bullshit, like for instance, like I'm not religious, but like I grew up Roman Catholic. Like not grew up. Like I think the only time my family ever went to church was like maybe on a Christmas day every 7 years. We'd be like, oh, we're feeling a bit religious this year. Let's go, Joel. Get up! It's 3 a.m. in the morning. Get up!
or I'll backhand you.
Yeah, we'd sit there and just like, and I'd just be like bored as fuck, and then we'd go home and have a massive feed. It'd be sweet.
Yeah.
But like, I love the pageantry of Catholicism. I love the flesh of God is the thing and the wine. I love the garments they wear. I love the fucking knights. I love the beautiful depictions of Jesus and his gory death and the angelic cherubs, and I love that shit, dude. It's so sick. Like it almost makes you just want to fucking go on a crusade. Like you hang out in the Vatican for a day, and then some dude will come out and be like, "You'll be drunk as fuck, right? You'll be in Rome
on
for
wine.
a month. You're in Rome
On
for a
really
month."
bad wine
Yeah.
back in the day. Like,
Yeah. Oh,
really.
well, let's say modern day, right? Let's say I'm in Italy for 3 months, right?
Yeah.
I'm shooting something there. God willing. God willing.
Please.
Yeah,
please.
And then I'm in the Vatican for a couple months. I'm getting drunk. I'm talking to priests. I actually meet the Pope. I'm like, holy fuck, this is cool, right? Because I've seen the latest Pope we have at the moment. I think he's Argentinian or something. There was a video of him and like a little kid's crying, and like the Pope's like people around, and like the Pope's like, this kid has like wants to ask the Pope a question, right? And I mean, like we all know the jokes about like, you know, like
Yeah.
molesting
Yeah,
children, shit,
yeah,
but all that shit. I don't know. I don't want to defend this latest Pope, but he seems like a decent bloke, right?
Yeah, I don't even know
Yeah,
of him or
I think he's
about
like Argentinian or Spanish or something, like, or like South American, something. I don't know, but like this little kid's crying. You'll see it on YouTube. It's got millions of views. This kid's crying, and then the Pope's like the kid wants to ask him a question. He's like, and he comes over and he's like whispering Maria, and the kid's like crying and like whispering in his ear, and he's just like, go sit back down. He like gives him a little prayer and sit back down. The kid's like sits back down and like crying and stuff, and he's like, he's got a mic and he's like, it's all translated. He's like, this boy, his father had him baptized, but he didn't believe in God, and his father passed away, and he wants to know, even though he didn't believe in God, is he in heaven? And then like, and he's like, he's like, gives him like a real beautiful speech. He's like, your father was good enough to have you baptized and stuff, and I don't think God would forget about someone like that. And when I watch that shit, dude, like, cause
Yeah.
I love it.
It's nice wording.
I mean, whether or not God is real, like, who gives a fuck? But like, we've got gas
God
clouds.
is a label, man.
It's a
God is
label,
a
but, like-
label for a higher power / energy. I
All that
believe
jazz.
in all this science.
For real,
and,
yeah,
but
yeah. But like, when you
I'm
see
not
that
religious
stuff,
at all, by the way.
for real, yeah,
Yeah.
for real. But when you see that stuff, it's like, it almost gives you like a comforting purpose, right?
Yeah.
I feel great about it. Like, I'm, again, not religious, but like when you see that shit, you're like, fuck yeah. And like, again, I had to be sauced up. I'm drunk, right? I'm in the Vatican, right?
Yes.
I've been there for a couple of months, and then out of nowhere, they're like, these people are attacking Christianity. We need to go on a crusade. I'd be like, okay, where are we going? Give me a fucking sword and an AK-47 with like ACOG scope. Let's do it. They fucking, and this is the cool thing about Catholicism. I'm not sure Christianity is this cool. They anoint the weapons. They bless your weapons, right? They're like, may God bless and protect this man, for his strength will live on, and saints yet unborn, by the abiding honor of our fortress in the Vatican. You know, like, thanks to God in whom we all, like, all this cool sayings and like cool clicky shit, right? So you're sitting there, right? You're sitting there with a fucking sword in your hand. Some
got a
dude
chunk of metal that you're about to cut people with.
yeah. Some dude's blessing you. Some dude's literally like fucking like glowing you up like this is the greatest soldier of God. He is shining bright light. So dude, when you get into the battlefield, you're just like, I am blessed by fucking God. Let's do it.
Let's do it, and I'm dead.
Yeah. Arrow through the fucking eyeball, yeah. But I mean,
No.
all the pageantry of Catholicism's sick, dude. Like wine is the blood of Christ and shit. Like fucking, I don't care whose blood it is, I'm drinking it, you know?
All right, we'll call it there because I don't want to get into how I'm just complete opposite to that. I'm just like,
what? Dude, well, what about the hospitalers? You don't know about
I don't mean like complete opposite, but I mean like to me, all that shit is just like. Have you seen The Invention of Lying, the movie?
Ricky Gervais, of course, yeah.
So to me, that shit is just like someone just came up with some bullshit, and everyone
Dude,
loves to believe it because they can't face their own mortality
I'm
and what happens after death. And
I'm 100% with science and reality, right?
sorry, okay. What I meant as well by opposite to that is because I just don't see the appeal in the whole blessing weapons and stuff. Because I'm like, if you're all that spiritual and shit, like religion is supposed to be, and unifying, you shouldn't be going into battle with a sword. Like, just settle the fuck down. Let's all just get along.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's some people might say that's pacifism, but dude, that's just logic, right? That's that's human preservation.
Yeah.
Totally. I guess being an actor, I just have a wild imagination.
Oh, absolutely.
But yeah, like it's just I don't even know what I'm saying, but yeah, it's cool.
Let's call it. We've
call
had
it.
the Van Liter.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening, everybody. We have been drinking the
Prost, everyone. Prost.
Weinstefana Original
Let's double it.
Helles. Double the cheers, double the clinky.
That was a clinky.
Thank you,
Hey.
everybody.
Go with God.
Good night.